Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents The Art of Money, a life-changing guide to financial happiness. By Bari Tessler. Narrated by Emily Durante. An Elephant Worth Friending. You believe a good life is a conscious one. You reflect deeply, question the status quo, and infuse your decisions with good intentions. You might not have it all figured out, but you're pretty sure the meaning of life has something to do with being as loving, compassionate, and mindful as possible, in big choices and teensy ways, every day, from smiling at passers-by, to being a conscious parent, to finding a way to make a big, positive impact on the world with your one beautiful life. Normally, you'll look the toughest taboo in the eye. Heck, you'll pour out a glass of wine and share a few laughs. From body image to spirituality, diet to a meaningful career, you've gotten brave, gotten honest, and worked to create healthier, more intimate and mindful relationships with yourself, with others, and with the different aspects of your life. But there's one nagging exception, an area of your life that you'd rather not think about, let alone talk about. One last taboo that can still turn your palms sweaty and give you that icky pit-in-the-stomach feeling. It's the elephant in the room. Money. Money was the elephant in the room during that family dinner when you announced your new career and watched your parents panic. Money was the elephant sitting between you and your sweetie that weekend you gave each other the cold shoulder after fighting about whether to take a vacation this year. Money was the elephant in the room when you berated yourself after splurging on those boots you weren't sure you could afford. Probably, money has been the elephant in the room your whole life, because here's the truth. No one has taught you how to really deal with him. You've tried following mainstream money guru frameworks and creating super strict budgets to whip the elephant into submission, but you inevitably fall off the wagon and feel like a failure. You've toyed with more spiritual ideas of money as energy and tried to cultivate a mindset of abundance. But without grounded practices and financial know-how, this quickly devolved into mere wishful thinking. You've tried turning your back on the elephant, sticking your head in the sand and tossing bank statements, unread, straight into the trash. But the elephant is still there, and ignoring him is getting awkward. You're not alone. When I introduce myself as a financial therapist, someone who helps people with their relationship to money, I invariably get the response, "Ooh, I need that." Since teaching my first financial workshop in a cozy living room over 15 years ago, I've been fascinated to learn that absolutely everyone, regardless of age, race, gender, economic background, or musical taste, has shame and stuck places around money. Yet we also all have our strengths, dreams, and gifts in the financial realm. Money isn't just about the numbers. It's also about our relationship with ourselves. In order to shift our relationship with money, then, we must untangle old patterns and challenge our assumptions about ourselves. This is tender work, and I have learned that a nurturing, gentle, and radically unshaming approach is the only way. The compassionate path is far, far more effective in creating sustainable transformation than the self-critical one. Yes, it's challenging. Yet when we embark on this journey, we can also cultivate greater awareness, peace, and joy than we ever thought possible. Along my journey with money, both as a financial therapist and in my personal life, I have re-examined the toxic and unhelpful idea that money isn't spiritual or compatible with a creative life. I've learned, instead, that building a healthy relationship with money helps ground all aspects of life. If you already have a mindfulness practice, expanding it to include how you handle money will strengthen it by leaps and bounds. And if you don't have a mindfulness practice, money is, perhaps surprisingly, a beautiful place to start. While nothing is taboo in my approach to money, and all of you is welcome here, there are certain aspects of money that you won't find thoroughly examined in this book simply because they're not my specialty. One of these is the macro side of money, the long lens and big picture view of global economics, historical trends, systems, social activism, and cultural structures. This macro side of money is real, worthwhile, and important stuff, and I love learning more about it from my favorite economists. Yet the methodology outlined in this book focuses first and foremost inside rather than outside on what I call the micro side of money, our individual internal relationship with money. I've chosen this approach because it makes the most sense to me, yet also because I've seen over and over again just how powerful it is. Like a pebble falling into a still pond, the benefits of personal money work ripple out into our close relationships, larger communities, and beyond. You heal an old money wound deep inside, then find a little more patience for your sweetie during his money freakout. Then he makes a brave financial choice at work, and the ripples continue onward and outward. From this deeply intimate starting point, then, we can create a global conscious money movement. Goodness knows we could use one. I emphasize these deep places within our money relationship, rich with personal meaning, because in my experience, unless we first turn within and heal our emotional relationship with money, no external changes, no matter how savvy, will stick. However, I also love teaching the practical external side of money and have learned how empowering and important this is. Put nuts on bolts, tighten them down, and get things done. In this book, then, you will find many of the money practices and tools I've found indispensable, yet I will always invite you to make these practices your own and to define financial maturity, success, and ease for yourself. You might end up learning how to spend less and save more in this book, but it won't be in the way you think, and it certainly won't be the main thing you learn. Together, we will approach money in ways that nourish your body, mind, and spirit as much as your bank account. In that first money workshop I taught many years ago, one woman joked nervously, "It's easier to talk about my sex life than my credit score." While I passionately advocate for more openness and honesty about money, I also realize how difficult this can be. That's why from the start I've taught about money through sharing my own money challenges, riddles, and triumphs. This book is full of these stories, as well as the stories of some of the many different kinds of people I've encountered in this work, from young to old, broke to flush, urban mid-career professionals to rural farmers. My hope is that these stories will inspire you to shine compassionate light on your own money story. Because when we speak the truth about money, deep healing happens. Taboos are broken, veils lift, and radiance breaks forth. I believe our money work is never done, but rather evolves right along with us, from cradle to grave, and I am no exception to this rule. That's why in this book, I share so openly about my challenges and lessons learned about money, both past and present. That said, I have moved mountains within my relationship to money. I've deepened my understanding of value, worth, and right livelihood, and applied these concepts to my own life in profound and practical ways. I have broken through one money ceiling after the next, growing a business that is both financially sustainable and creatively fulfilling, providing for my family and serving my community. I've re-examined old money wounds from my upbringing and deepened my compassion for my parents and their relationships with money. I've strengthened my marriage and parenting through open, intimate conversations about money. I have made my money practices my own by infusing them with body-based mindfulness, playfulness, and dark chocolate. Through all of this, I have become a seasoned guide through the emotional, practical, and psycho-spiritual facets of this thing we call money. I've looked this elephant in the eye, and now show others how they too can sit down with him, pour a cuppa, and make friends. Throughout this book, you will be invited to look deeply within yourself. You will create beautiful, meaningful practices and rituals around money. You will draw upon what matters most to you for guidance. You will cultivate your value, challenge your perfectionism, celebrate each tiny victory, and apply mega doses of self-love, forgiveness, and unshaming. Deep money work isn't magic. It's conscious transformation, tiny step after tiny step, day by day, breath by breath. If you are nervous, terrified, or skeptical, it's okay. If you are excited and hopeful, it's okay. If you are overwhelmed, numb, impatient, irritated, lonely, or grieving, it's okay. Engaging with money this way is a rare, fulfilling, and challenging journey. Yes, there may be rough spots. The road may twist. We might traverse a foggy patch when we can't see the way ahead. But we will also laugh and rest and take dark chocolate breaks along the way. Deep breath. Take my hand. Here we go. Why are you really here? The 8 money areas. Many of us grow up learning that when it comes to money, thou shalt keep thy head firmly in the sand. See no money, hear no money, speak no money. Then for many of us, there comes a moment, a wake-up call, the realization that we must come to terms with this thing called money. Sometimes this call is unmistakable and deafening, a bankruptcy, an inheritance, a career change, or having a child. Yet many people hear smaller whispers for years, quiet, subtle invitations, drawing their attention ever closer to this crucial, sorely neglected area of life. One of my mini wake-up calls came the fateful day when my first student loan bill arrived. I stared at the minimum monthly payment in horror. How do people do this? I thought. After briefly considering skipping the country, it hit me. I couldn't ignore the elephant in the room a day longer. It was time for me to finally look money in the eye and figure out how to make friends. As I started the emotional and practical work of healing my relationship with money, I quickly realized that student loan bill was the tip of a massive iceberg, and that monthly payment due amount was far more than a number. I was coming face to face with my struggle to value myself and the education I had just poured years into, my doubts that I was smart enough to learn the language of money, and all the despair and resistance I had around concepts like success, maturity, and ease. As I looked beneath the surface of my financial reality, I began to encounter the real longings and quandaries that had brought me to this money stuff. Quintessential things like value, hope, and peace. These were the real reasons I was drawn to this money stuff. These were the qualities I felt missing from my life, but that I sensed I could access and cultivate if I kept finding the courage to continue my money journey. I'm not alone. Over the years, everyone who's walked through my door looking for money guidance has been chasing their own longings, just as aching and urgent as mine were. Often they only knew the surface reasons that brought them to money work, that career change or ongoing fight with their sweetheart. But almost always, they could recognize those deeper, more emotional issues they were seeking to find solutions to through their money work once I named them. Yes, clarity and ease, they'd exclaim with a sigh of relief. Once they articulated these deeper desires, the steps ahead of them along their money journey came into focus. Over time, I noticed trends in these longings and eventually identified 8 key areas that bring most people to this deep money work. These 8 areas incorporate what many people are truly longing for in their money relationship and beyond. They are the facets within our money relationship, skills in which we may either excel or feel our lack of education. As we heal our relationship with money, We cultivate these 8 areas, turning them into reliable and joyful companions that may serve us in every aspect of our lives. These are the gems waiting for us at the bottom of the iceberg, making the entire journey oh so worthwhile. While they show up a little differently for us all, it's important to begin tracking these deeper currents right from the start of this journey. I've listed these 8 areas in no particular order, as this journey is not linear. As you read them, you may notice a rush of pride with one area or a pang of longing with another. For now, please just notice and welcome these feelings. All of your experience and all of you is welcome here. 1. Clarity. About half the people I've worked with have sheepishly admitted to me at some point that they have no idea how much money they're earning, spending, and saving each month, let alone the total amounts of their assets and debts. A protective fog of ignorance obscures their view of their financial situation, and they're desperately ready to slice through it, yet also terrified by what they may see. Clarity might already be a natural financial strength for you, but for most people, looking squarely at their numbers is a big, scary deal. Clarity asks that we take a deep breath, extend a firm handshake, and say, "Hello, nice to meet you, money," perhaps for the very first time. This is square one in creating an honest, engaged partnership with money. If you're longing for this kind of clarity, but even reading this paragraph sends shivers up your spine, don't fret. We will move forward slowly, gently, and with compassion for ourselves. 2. Intimacy. You know yourself pretty well. Perhaps you take your morning coffee black. You love ketchup, but hate tomatoes. You forgive almost anything except an insult to your friends. In many areas of life, you are the expert on yourself, your strengths, your challenges, and all of your idiosyncratic patterns. Yet for most people, this intimacy stops short at money's door. You may not know how you behave with money, what your spending patterns are, or how you really feel about earning. You may not know what your strengths, challenges, and quirks are around money. As with most things in life, when we don't know what's motivating our behavior, or perhaps even what our behavior is, there's very little chance of it changing. Intimacy with ourselves around money entails bringing a curious, compassionate mind to our behaviors and what's motivating them. It means paying gentle attention to what we do and don't do with our money, to how we talk about it, to our thoughts and the whole range of emotions around it, from subtle to overwhelming. This self-awareness opens the door to choice, transformation, healthy control, and an expansion of joy. 3. Knowledge. The language of money can feel like some sort of jabberwocky, concocted by a malicious madman determined to make things as hard and confusing, not to mention boring, as possible. Many people feel financially illiterate and are understandably intimidated by this area of life, especially because most of us never received a real financial education in incremental steps from childhood on up. Here's the great news. The language of money actually isn't that difficult. If you're motivated to learn, and this is the key, practice patience and self-compassion as you climb that learning curve, you really can do it. You can learn how to use and enjoy a tracking system, even if you're bad at math. You can learn what all of those different financial professionals do and begin making long-term plans around money. You can make the whole experience pleasurable and rewarding, rather than another miserable to-do. Let me tell you, learning the language of money is crazy empowering. 4. Ease and peace of mind. As I have learned in my role as a financial therapist, many people experience significant stress and anxiety about money, regardless of how much or how little they have. A 2015 study by the American Psychological Association found that almost 3/4 of people surveyed experience financial stress, and a recent survey by SunTrust Bank revealed money as the leading cause of stress in relationships. Couples fight dirty about money, even when they're conscious, skillful communicators in every other area of their relationships. Money evokes a constant stream of worry for most entrepreneurs I know. But I promise, it's oh so possible for your financial anxiety and stress to drop way, way down. If you're seeking more ease around money, it's helpful to identify the true source of your financial stress. You might be surprised. An overwhelming number of my community members have found that simply getting clear on their numbers is a huge relief. Their stress stemmed not from a lack of money, but from a lack of money clarity. You might access greater ease once you're consistently engaging with your money in a regular, ongoing, and conscious fashion. Or you may achieve more peace of mind when you learn to flex that savings muscle, get some professional support with your taxes, or learn to greenlight all of your big emotions around money instead of stuffing them down. On a deeper track, many people enjoy a soul-level peace around money as they learn to trust the natural ebbs and flows of their financial lives. 5. Success. There's a reason I didn't call this book a guide to financial success. For many people, success conjures images of external achievement, climbing the corporate ladder or a flush retirement fund. So many of us want to feel successful, yet have never taken the time to ask ourselves what success actually means for us. Success is incredibly subjective, so I encourage you to discover or create your own definition of it. Success for you may mean earning 25% more income this year, or it could mean gifting more to charity or feeling more calm and confident around tax time. An entrepreneur might feel financially successful when she's able to charge the rates she really wants and state this amount clearly and easefully to potential clients. Success might mean having safe, supportive, fun conversations with your honey about money. Not only is your definition of success your very own, it is also fluid and dynamic, often changing over time alongside your shifting life circumstances, goals, and values. 6. Value. Have you noticed that some of these areas have you jumping up and down saying, "Yes, that's me, I need that," while others don't hold nearly as much charge for you? In my own life, value was the big nut to crack when it came to money. For most people, value is intimately intertwined with money, and many of our struggles with money are, at heart, part of a quest to find, feel, and claim our own self-worth. If some of your patterns or discomfort around money stem from self-worth and self-esteem issues, please be extra gentle and patient with yourself. Value is woven from deep, essential stuff, connecting with our unique gifts, finding meaningful work in the world, shifting our relationship with power, releasing anger and self-judgment, and on and on. This is tender work that takes time. Please know that as you move courageously and compassionately forward with your money work, you are already taking steps to value yourself, your time, your energy, and everything that truly matters to you. 7. Hope. Some people arrive at this money work in near or complete despair. They feel trapped under a mountain of debt, or think they'll never find that career that actually feels good and pays well. Others have all but given up hope that they'll ever be able to talk to their partner about money without fighting or shutting down. Some are convinced they simply aren't good at money and never will be. Many of us have despair triggers. We feel hopeless when our account dips below a certain number, when tax season rolls around, or when that one uncle asks about our job. Hope is the gift of believing that things can be different. Hope whispers encouragement in our ear. It can get better. It will. You can do this. Hope is practical, too. It motivates us to tackle daunting tasks, keeps us showing up to those bookkeeping dates and tough money conversations, and fuels our growth in the rest of these 8 money areas. Hope cracks open a sun-drenched window in what looked like a brick wall. If you're here, you have some hope. Each step you take forward in your money journey, no matter how tiny, will grow and deepen your hope. 8. Support. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Take responsibility. Be self-reliant. Just do it. Many of us grow up hearing messages like this and repeat them to ourselves for many painful years to come. One place where our culture's love affair with this harsh version of individual responsibility runs most rampant is within our relationship to money. So many of us harbor the belief that we need to do this money stuff all alone. If I don't know how to reconcile a checkbook, there's something wrong with me. If I can't stick to a budget, I just need to grow up already. We haven't been taught to ask for support within our money relationship. Many people don't realize this kind of support even exists, or if they do, they don't allow themselves to receive it. We simply were not taught how to relate to money, let alone acknowledge our emotions around it, from grade school on up. Receiving some form of support is essential for so many of us. Talking through our emotional reactions to our debt with a therapist or friend, plotting out a monthly spending plan, or discussing debt repayment options with a financial coach, or even getting an accountability buddy to meet for monthly tea and money dates. Creating a financial support team isn't a shameful act that means you're weak, dumb, or lazy. Getting help is one of the smartest, most proactive, and empowering things you can do. The 3 phases of deep money work. On a sunny August afternoon in 2001, I found myself stuck in an apple orchard outside of Sebastopol, California, running late to my first ever meeting as a freelance bookkeeper. I had almost arrived at my new client's house when I encountered a gleaming white pickup truck blocking my path, parked cattywampus across the backwoods gravel road. This is the last thing I need today, I thought, as I sat fuming in my beat-up old Subaru. I stepped out of my car, smoothing my maroon velvet skirt with sweaty palms, and cleared my throat to have words with Mr. White Truck. The man who emerged from behind the truck had a full silver mustache, a halo of gray hair, and, as he saw me, a huge smile. "Bari, what are you doing out in California?" Mr. White Truck turned out to be Warren, an old friend and acupuncturist I'd known years before when I lived in Colorado. That day in Sebastopol, he would change my work-life journey forever. When I told Warren that I was on my way to my first client meeting as a freelance bookkeeper, he laughed, thinking I was joking. I was used to that reaction. Most of my friends, family, and community thought I was taking a seriously bizarre detour into all of this bookkeeping and money stuff. I had just earned my graduate degree in somatic psychology, spent all my free time dancing, and considered myself too creative to talk to friends or family about money. It wasn't that I had a bad relationship with money back then. I had no relationship with it. I poo-pooed the whole money thing as far too boring. Bank statements would arrive in the mail, and I'd toss them directly into the trash. If I thought about them at all, it would be to wonder, what do people do with these, before closing the trash lid? For most of my life, I harbored the belief that since I wasn't good at math, I couldn't possibly be smart about money. Like so many people, I was never taught how to manage money, let alone my emotions around it. Though my family rarely talked about money, It loomed like an otherworldly elephant in the room during most fights, sticky conversations, and big decisions. No wonder, as an adult, I didn't want to think about it, much less talk about it. My path to becoming a bookkeeper was a bit peculiar. I was working
Sample complete. Ready to continue?